Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition. Welcome to our tonight news. For tonight headlines, we have the head of state has left the capital to take part in the summit in Sochi in Russia. The head of state, Anglais, has received a joint delegation of the United Nations and the African Union. For the international scene in Syria, the three negotiators with Ankara and Washington expressed Israel. Welcome to our newsroom. Departures of the President of the Republic to Russia. The President of the Republic, Anglais, left the country today, Tuesday, early in the afternoon for the Russian city of Sochi, where he will take part in the first Russia-African summit from 23 to 24 October. The Russia-Africa summit subscribed to the main objectives of having a process of greater exchange between the two parties at the outset. Therefore, the summit meetings of this forum will essentially serve as a framework for the adoption of general cooperation agreement between the two orders. It should be noted that the economy and trade, education, health, research, and vocational training are already identified as sectors that could lead to fruitful partnership between Russia and Africa as a sign of the clear desire to extend partnership to all sectors, including private sector. This first Russia-Africa summit is linked to an economic forum. The latter's main mission will be to bring together the business communities of both parties, who will thus have full attitude to inform each other about investment opportunities in their respective regions and countries. Under the aegis of the First Magistrate, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Republic of Djibouti will contribute of a high level to the work of this Russia-Africa summit. Before the opening of the Russia-Africa summit, an African delegation continues to flock from all over the continent to attend this meeting, this first of its kind in the history of Russian-African relations. As a prelude to the holding of this summit, the work of which will be co-chaired by the Russian head of state, Vladimir Putin, and his Egyptian counterpart, President of the African Union, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. A Russian-African Economic Forum is also planned in this serious science and technology parks in Sochi. In parallel with these forums, which will bring together senior Russian and African officials and representatives of the business community, a major exhibitions will also be organized in this famous Russian seaside town of the Black Sea. Djiboutian exhibitions from the port, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Tourist Office will take part in this event aimed at promoting African potential in the field of energy, agriculture, transport, health, military industry. Several members of the government, including the Djibouti Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, his colleague from the Ministry of Equipment Transport, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, the Minister of Economy and Finance, Ilyas Musa Dawale, will also attend the Sochi conference. It is also worth recalling the participation of the Governor of the Central Bank of Djibouti, Mr. Ahmed Osman, the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Musa Dawale, in these forums, which will undoubtedly constitute a great melting pot of opportunity, during which trade agreement will be signed between different parties. Believing that the time has come to further deepen Russian and African cooperation, the ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to Russia, Dr. Mohammed Ali Kamil, told the press that this meeting is an excellent platform to define a new partnership format between Russia and Africa. In a message to the participants of this first ever Russian-African summit, Mr. Vladimir Putin stressed the benefit that both sides could derive from this meeting, which will be the most significant in Russian-African relations. It should be recalled that framework documents on cooperation in education, science, technology will be signed between the African Union and Russia. The partnership will result in an increase in the number of scholarships that Russia provides to African countries. It should be noted that in 2018 and 17,000 African scholarship students were registered in Russian universities. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received in audience at the Presidential Palace a delegation from the United Nations system is headed by Deputy Secretary General Amina G. Mohamed, accompanied by the representative of the African Union for Women, Peace and Security, Ms. Bineta Diop. About 10 people. At the end of this meeting, it was discussed to strengthen the opportunities for cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti with the United Nations, but also with the African Union in the promotion of women, peace, security in the region. It's within the framework of resolution 1325. The main objective of this resolution is to involve women in the development process and to ensure that women are at the head of the political actions. In addition to the delegation, the head of the diplomacy, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and the Minister of Women Affairs, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mohamed Abdullahi Wais, the representative of the United Nations system, Ms. Barbara Manzi, took part in this meeting. The Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Ms. Amina G. Mohamed, listen to her, please.
It's a real honor for us to be visiting Djibouti. We're coming here on a joint solidarity mission together with the UN and the AU, the African Union, and it's on women, peace and security. So our visit is really to see how we can improve the operationalization of Resolution 1325 and see women at the center and increase their opportunities. But we also talk about development. And so with development comes our offer of support to enhance what already Djibouti is doing with women. And I think we can congratulate the country for many of the inroads that it has made as it has empowered women. Of course, there's always, we ask for more. So in our discussions with Mr. President, we congratulated him on many of the policies that have been put forward for women. But we also asked for more participation in the cabinet, more participation in politics, more participation in peacekeeping with women in mediation, but also with women again as we go into different aspects of peacekeeping for the country and for the region. We also discussed how important it was. This is the seat of IGAD. It's an important structure to help be more coordinated and coherent, and how we rely on the leadership of the President to ensure that there is a repositioning of IGAD for the region.
For his part, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, said it was discussed to strengthen the opportunities for the cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti with the United Nations, but also with the African Union in the promotion of women, peace, security in the region within the framework of Resolution 103,025, he said.
De s'imprégner de ce que Djibouti fait. D'abord,
the land of the rising suns, Japan organized these mornings at the Seiden State, all in Tokyo, a great ceremony for the accession to the throne of the Emperor Naruhito, who officially succeeded his father Akihito, who had abdicated in the favors of his living. A ceremony of the instrument is meticulously organized in a traditional style, but in accordance with the modernity to the new era that begins with the new Emperor Naruhito, in the presence of 2,000 guests, including head of state, dignitaries, and crowned as representing 180 countries. Emperor Naruhito in Japan solemnly proclaimed his enshrinement during a sumptuous ceremony at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, having previously inherited the throne by virtues of the constitutions and the law on the imperial house to the countries and the world proclaimed my enshrinement. He said, Naruhito said, alongside Emperor Masako, both dressed in traditional clothes reserved for this unique ritual. The Japanese people were waiting for this introduction event, which took place under a light rains in Tokyo with the participation of the Japanese government, including the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the Japanese officials who came en masse, as well as strong popular participation with the accession to the throne. The importance of traditional imperial power was palpable this morning among the large population that came from the capital and all the major cities of the region of the countries. The Minister of National Education, Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud, today sponsored a ceremony to present grade 2 textbooks translated into brailles and intended for students in the special needs children's service. The minister was welcomed by the head of the Special Needs Children's Department, Mr. Idris Mumin Abdi, and the president of the Lions Club of Djibouti, Ms. Hasna Barkhad, as well as the senior officials of the MENFOP and the Lions Club. Then the Minister of National Education, Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud, officially handed over the second grade textbook to the head of the Department for Children with Special Need, Mr. Idris Mumin. He took the opportunities to reaffirm his commitment to an inclusive schools where all children should benefit from quality education. He expressed his sincere thanks to the Lions Club for its support in publishing the Braille manuals. The head of the Department for Children with Special Needs expressed his sincere thanks to the Minister of National Education for this commitment to children with disability. He also paid tribute to the Lions Club of Djibouti and its president for their unfailing support in the services of the ERB. Tribute thanks that touched the president of the Lions Club of Djibouti, Ms. Hasna Barkhad Daoud, who said she was proud to be able to provide assistance to children with disability. After the official intervention, the Minister Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud said that visually impaired child performing the reading demonstrations on the book of the blind in front of the ministers and all officials. Then the minister and his suite toured classrooms where children with different disabilities gave practical demonstrations at the use of the book in the classrooms. Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahamoud shared the children's pleasure in different activities such as manipulations, puzzles, math exercise, and games. Yesterday, after the official launches of this work of National Conference on Population and Development at the People's Palace, let's make way for the panel discussions that focus on themes such as the objectives of the ICPD Program of Action and the post-2019 period, but also another theme such as fundraising and resources mobilization, but also partnerships, international experts such as Mr. François Farah, Ms. Edna Aden Ismail, Mr. Michel Poulain, and national experts shared their knowledge talking about successful experience in population and development, sharing innovative solutions. The speaker all agreed that it was important to take stock of significant progress and to look at the unfinished tasks for the well-being of the population to see clearly the progress made in terms of results. Thus, the results of this research will enable the Republic of Djibouti to accelerate progress toward achieving the ICPD goals as well as those of the United Nations agenda by 2013. As part of the outreach towards with the population and elders of the rural area, the new prefectures of Arta, Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Hassan, accompanied by a large delegation, traveled to Karta, a town located in the southwest of the region. Upon his arrival at the schools of Karta, crowd in jubilation warmly welcomed the new prefect, the president of the regional council, Mr. Anglais, the parliamentarian, Mahmoud, the commanders of the gendarmerie, campaigns of the region's delegates, him, the mediators of the regional director education, the chief doctors, Dr. Yaqub, and the officials who accompany him. The prefect began their tours by visiting the school's classrooms before going to the health post to see the state of premises and the material resources available in this care center. Then Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Hassan had a meeting with the notable elders, the women and young people of this locality to listen their grievance. A ceremony for the presentations of solar kits was held at Arta Regional Council. This ceremony was presided over the president of the Regional Council of Arta, Mr. Ilmi Bouhkoudade, in the presence of the president of the association, Abba Abdul Karim Mohammed Osman. These kits have been given to 24 houses of Arta. The financing cost of 24 solar panels in 5 million Djibouti francs. The second phase will concern the villages of Wea with 10 households, and finally the locality of Umar Jaga for 10 households. As part of the regional towers in the locality and making contact, the prefect of Dakhil region, Mr. Adan Darar Musa, finally began his towers after Galafi in the locality of Halle 1 and 2 for this working visit by the area of the northwest pastoral of the Dakhil region, including in the peripheral area of Yoboki. For this visit, the regional prefect of Dakhil, Adan Darar Musa, was accompanied by his close collaborators, the president of the regional council, Abdurrahman Yunis Are, the deputy prefect of Yoboki, Adu Sanalase Udum, 2 parliamentarians from the region, is Mr. Muhammad Musa Osa and Jama' Gedi Aden, the head of the Riyadh Corpus, Colonel Idris Umar Ilaye, the head of the regional offices of national education, Warsama Umar Warsama, as well as the head of the central services. During the proximity visit, the prefect of Unity region and his delegations were warmly welcomed and met with the traditional chief of the various localities, namely Hanle 1, 2, and 3, to discuss the gaps and difficulties that persist in this area, particularly in the field of food security, water, livestock, health, education. Following the elections of the president of the Ali Sabih Regional Bus Union on Friday, 18 October, Mahdi Ali Warsama was elected. As receipt ceremony was held at the office of the prefect of Ali Sabih region. This event was chaired by the prefect of the region, Mr. Musa Adan Migane. He saw the presence of the Trade Union Administration's Committee, its first deputy, Mr. Mohammed Humed Abbas, the new president of the Ali Sabih Regional Union, Mr. Mahdi Ali Warsama. On this occasion, Prefect Musa Adan Migane present the president-elect with the acknowledgement receipt. It should be recalled that 2 candidates were in the running for the presidency of the bus unions in Ali Sabih region. They are Mahdi Ali Warsama, Mustafa Diriye Jama'. As part of the implementation of the government's local health policy, the Ministry of Health conduct mobile teams out in to provide health care to the rural populations throughout the countries, and especially in the most isolated area. It is with this in mind that the mobile team of Tajora region, led by the head doctors of the health region, Mr. Dr. Hassan Mohammed Hassan, made a 18 days trip for 13 to 16 made a 3 days trip for 13 to 16 October to the sub-prefectures of Dora, located about 100 kilometers from the capital. More than 500 people living in these localities, Andaba, Madgul, and Inakar, were able to benefit from various treatments. Indeed, the mobile team is a full-fledged care unit made up of doctors, midwives, a nurse, and nutritionists and vaccination agents. At the same time, they impregnate mosquito nets were distributed, Dr. Hassan said. He was satisfied with this policy, which had very positive results, especially in terms of vaccination coverage and the fight against malnutrition. The local population welcomes the policy and has not failed to thank the Minister of Health and the government. For the international scene in the northern Syria, the deadlines granted by the Turkish army to Kurdish forces to withdraw from border areas expires on Tuesday evening, 22 October. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is still threatening to resume hostilities if he believes that the agreement has not been respected. He's expecting in Sochi by his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to negotiate the terms of Turkey's vast security zone along its border. The countdown has begun, and it is even displayed at the top height of the screen on the English-speaking Turkish public channels TRT walls at 22 local times on Tuesday, October 23. Ankara will decide to resume and stop its offensive against Kurdish forces in the northern Syria. Its army and intelligence services are scanning a strip to 23 kilometers deep and 120 kilometers long between Tal Abyad and Ras Al Ain. It is here between these two cities, one of which was captured by Ankara at the beginning of the offensive, and the other were Kurdish forces left on Sundays. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.
Non, bon allez, j'arrête, sinon je vais épuiser tout.